Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Propagandacast with me, your host, ImperialDane, and today is another 1 versus 1. This time, though, on Semois. Yes, indeed, we still won't be returning to Langres right away. Instead, we shall be fighting in the darkness of Semois, in that quaint little French town, although considering all the bombings and all that other stuff, I suppose it's not so quaint. Plus, we do have this sort of doomsday saying right there on the tombstone. Again, rather recently discovered by me, at least. I'm sure others have discovered before me as well. Anyhow, it's of course sort of divided into three sort of sectors right down the middle, with sort of home sectors, right, with the same amount of resources. Then you have the sort of combat sector right in the middle. Lots of resources there, lots of munitions, a bit of fuel, and all three victory points, of course, with the town center right here usually being the hotspot. But then again, depending on sort of the sharpness of players, you might actually see things shifting to either side as they're sort of trying to get around this sort of point and sort of strike from all the weak points. That's of course also interesting. And let us go have a look at our opponents. In the northern corner we are seeing VonRilke. I have absolutely no idea about his level. He just sort of appeared while I was auto-matching right away, in fact, and he seemed pretty competent. So I suspect he's going to be somewhere around my level anyways, but he is here. He was smurfing, but nonetheless. 4th Infantry Division, VonRilke. And I've already given myself away. ImperialDane, loyal soldier of the fatherland, master of propaganda, here to fight, leading the 91st Luftlande Division in battle. And let us get right down to it, eh? Pioneer setting up a Wehrmacht quarters, the usual business right there. We'll probably be seeing a barracks up here. Yes, indeed. Barracks. Slowly setting that up. While also at the same time, rather interesting, and just notice this. In fact, at this very moment, they're actually at the same time sort of raising the flag. Don't know why I haven't noticed that before. It's sort of applies to the same there. Sort of one of those funny details about company of heroes, I suppose. A bit of politeness right there in the beginning. Barracks going up, engineers heading towards the west. Pioneers going for the fuel point. Wehrmacht quarters is up. Full grenadiers on the way. Nothing unusual there. The 91st Luftlande Division, for those that haven't heard me repeat it, is of course was originally meant as a sort of glider division for the Germans, but sort of after the whole Crete incident, where all airborne landing operations of a larger scale were pretty much banned due to the fact that Crete went very horribly wrong for the Germans, and for the reason Hitler being, well, Hitler decided, no, we can't do any more then. And then, of course, in a great stroke of irony, the Allies actually had a look at it and thought, hey, that's actually pretty great, we'll just adjust it, because, well, the Germans had a sort of funny ideas, like, for example, dropping their paratroopers without weapons. We are seeing some barbed wire going up to there. Volkswagen is on the way. Whereas, of course, the Americans figured, well, we drop them with rifle shots, there'll be a chance they'll break their legs, but at least they'll be armed. And, of course, there were some other bits, like, for example, the Germans dropped their troops way too close to the sort of enemy positions. That didn't work out quite well either. Later, the Americans sort of made the other sort of mistake of dropping their troops far too far away from the targets. That was Market Garden, among other things, of course, the problems with that. Riflemen heading towards the east, not towards the town center, despite they could probably have been taking the advantage there. Interesting. Volkswagen is, though, heading into town. Although nothing going on, not even at the cafe. And we are seeing some engineers spraying out here, and of course laying down the barbed wire here. Why am I laying down the barbed wire? Because on this map, this fuel point is a particular foreign target of harassment, and if I lay down some barbed wire, well, if he's sending in some riflemen and he isn't paying attention, he might be running straight into this MG42 bunker due to the placement of the barbed wire, which is rather what I'm hoping for. Further, Volkswagen is heading into town. Team number 2 is ready, nothing else though coming on the way. Rifleman team number 2 moving in as well. And there we go, laying down some barbed wire to sort of block the main approach into town. That's not a bad idea. For some reason, I really like doing that. Riflemen moving in towards the north, discovering the Volkswagen. The Volkswagen realize they're looking a bit silly out there in the middle of the road in the negative cover, laying down barbed wire. But at the same time, they don't want those Americans to be able to take a point without harassment moving up there. Although that is a bit too far away to actually hit those riflemen. So with the support from the other team of Volkswagen, they move in closer. Riflemen coming under a bit of fire. Engineers pressing forward to the north. Engineers sneaking through here as well. And riflemen forced to retreat, or at least they're getting out. They're rather realizing those 6 riflemen can't take on 10 very handsome looking Volksgrenadiers, or something like that. Setting up barbed wire. MG42 is ready for the fatherland. And Pioneers run into riflemen right there in the south. Not a happy moment right there. And interestingly enough, he's laying down some sandbags right there. Perhaps to sort of protect the point, or at least allow him to retake it under fire. If it comes down to that, not a bad idea. And then he's laying down more sandbags. He's really expecting perhaps for me to really go hard after this point, but at the moment I'm rather more interested in sort of creating a stronger position right here in the center of town. Opening up on the riflemen who are charging ahead and then finding themselves well in a bit of trouble since there's absolutely no place to take cover. Barbed wire rather, meaning they can't, and there we go, taking up position in the cafe, but of course note the cafe has some rather huge blind sides right there, and there they can't fire out of them, of course giving my Volksgrenadiers the advantage since they can just stand there and blast away. All 10, all merrily, and riflemen sneaking in through the west. Volksgrenadier team number 3 on the way. It looks like the riflemen will be hitting the MG42. Yes, there we go. Getting suppressed, one down in fact right away. Looks like some engineers are hiding behind these sandbags, no mines though. And they did a bit of harassment there, sneaky Americans, and currently they are in fact holding most of the map. MG42 setting up there. And once more the Americans are advancing, and once more they're rather realizing they're in a bit of trouble. And these chaps are running a gauntlet of doom. Taking quite a bit of fire, down to 4 men awfully wounded. Otherwise, yes, there we go, and putting down some barbed wire here to sort of protect the northern approach of this MG42. A bit of sandbags to sort of lay down here so I can actually take this point rather safely. The American seems to be rather heavily regrouping, setting up a triage center. And some other bits. Mining as well, always good to have mines, of course. And some Volksgrenadiers is pushing in towards the south as well. And there we go, Reich headquarters, skirmish phase, munitions taken, slowly establishing a strong point. Riflemen reinforcing, getting healed, getting equipped with BARs, and some engineers possibly with flamethrowers as well. Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, we will be seeing flamethrowers as well. While the Wehrmacht is holding out strong in the center, the 91st digging in very nicely. Mines going down. All mines laid as ordered. And there we go. Pushing through in the south as well. Floating a bit of manpower at the moment, though I don't have really anything to build with. Well, there we go, riflemen charging in. I probably realized about this stage that I can't really fight this since there's also a lot of flamethrowers. What do? You get the bloody hell out of there. Again, sometimes you know when to have to run, and sometimes when to sort of move away, and sometimes when to stand your ground. In this case, it was the time to run the bloody hell away. American commander seems to be spreading out a bit, or at least not going straight into town. Of course, with the barbed wire, the MG42 knows some mines. It of course will be a bit difficult, and some mines have been laid down here as well. Looks like the Americans are preparing for a major assault in the south, and the only thing holding in the back are a few Volksgrenadiers. A 4th team of Volksgrenadiers in fact coming underway, while the Krieg barracks going up, figuring I might as well get some more infantry, and I rather figure, well, I haven't really gone with 4 Volksgrenadiers before. I wonder how that'll work. And some riflemen are advancing in. Volksgrenadiers are patrolling in the cemetery, ever hoping there won't be a tombstone with their name on it. Riflemen crossing the bit there, opening up on the Volksgrenadiers behind the tombstones. Volksgrenadiers moving in from the north at the very moment, though, ready to open up on those riflemen as well. Volksgrenadier goes down. Further moving in, surrounding the riflemen, who are now rather realizing they have to get out. They're good retreating, in fact. So far there haven't really been any heavy casualties on either side. Engagement has always been brief, then sort of get out of there. Not a bad idea, of course, although you have to be a bit careful. And what is this? He's laying down numerous observation posts. That's 400 manpower. I'm not entirely sure this is actually a good idea. He needs to be more aggressive rather than sort of going for the long haul in terms of resources. I mean, not entirely sure this is a good idea. Might just be me, of course. Laying down some sandbags to cover the other Volksgrenadiers. Sort of slow advance, covering advance. And of course this sort of sandbags won't really do much for the Americans because I won't be engaging them right there. Pioneer sneaking, Volkskrone sneaking in from the south. Bridge has been mined actually. It looks like the Americans are making ready to move in towards the south to stop the Volkskrone there. Pioneer sneaking through the north. Riflemen moving in there as well. We are seeing a supply yard coming up from VonRilke. And Volkskrone is coming out to fire. We've also seen some mines there. Volkskrone is opening up on the riflemen. And going terror and going for fanatism. Meaning, of course, they'll fight harder as they lose men. Riflemen, further men moving in. And oh dear, mines goes off, killing quite a few Volkskrone, forcing a full retreat, but thankfully no Volkskrone teams were lost. Riflemen, though, are holding the strong point there. Volkskrone team number 3 moving in. Riflemen, though, are a bit exposed right there in the open. Volkskrone managed to get into heavy cover, opening up on the riflemen. Numerous down, leaving only 2 to retreat. Airborne being dropped in the north. Riflemen hitting a mine, pinned, 1 down. And airborne opening up with the M1 carbines on the Pioneers. Pioneers rather realizing they can't fight against that. And lots of Volkskrone in need of reinforcements. Assault phase on the way. A pack sort of set up there, rather ready to prepare for anything. Volkskrone is trying to put down some defenses there, but flamethrowers move in, rather making this a hazardous prospect. And Volkskrone is immediately retreating. Other team holding out here. Might also want to get out there, and there we go. Slightly less hasty retreat. Americans pushing through in the north, securing the fuel point there.
They must have raided the Hilfsschule to find
And engineers pushing into the south as well. Still looking a bit sort of surrounded right there in the center. But more Volkskrone are on the way, and a half-track as well to provide a bit more mobile firepower for the German infantry.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And a Sturm Armory on the way as well. And there we go, the Sunderkraftfahrzeug 251 mittlerer Schützenpanzerwagen moving out for the fatherland. And all quite otherwise. In fact, some Volkskrone is getting equipped with MP40s, but really the American seems to be a bit cautious, and let us go over to him. He has gone airborne, of course, against my terror. The terror of the Dane. Volkskrone is advancing through here. Airborne sneaking through in the north. Certainly has the manpower to get some more infantry, but will he be going for it? Supply at upgrade number 1. Volkskrone is going in for the fuel. Airborne going in for the victory points. And some engineers trying to lay down some barbed wire there. Half-track moving in, perhaps expecting some mines. I pop out my Pioneers I do have in there with some minesweepers. Volkskrone is getting engaged, which will be prompting my half-track to move towards the north rather quickly. While the Volkskrone desperately hold the line, only with hedges and fences to hold the line, while the Americans do have big fat haystacks. And one Volkskrone goes down in this desperate fighting. More airborne are in fact getting dropped in somewhere, probably in the American base, though it looks like. The Volkskrone is continuing to fire away at the sneaky Americans, taking up position there, blasting away. Half-track though moves in, flanks some of the riflemen. Unloads some Volkskrone with MP40s, unleashing terrible amounts of firepower upon the American riflemen, who are now rather in dire need of getting out of there. Come on, retreat down to 3 men, 2 men. Suppressed, 1 man, no men. A rifleman team has been slaughtered right there. 12 minutes into the game, we actually have a unit that's fully lost. Interesting there. Volkskrone is advancing, picking up the BAR so kindly left behind. Volkskrone is taking the point while moving north with this small combined Panzer Grenadier Force, or at least ersatz Panzer Grenadier Force, since well, the 91st wasn't really Panzer Grenadiers, and well, the Volksgrenadiers aren't really Panzer Grenadiers, but still, Panzer Grenadier tactics all the way. Getting ready, charging at the airborne. Volkskrone with MP40s getting out, opening up on the airborne, who are retreating at this very moment, succumbing to the extreme firepower held within this tiny half-track. Oh, well, not really tiny. I mean, it's not small.
The Germans are moving in.
Further Volkskrone is holding the line here. Airborne moving out. More airborne and engineers. Riflemen also moving in, but no support weapons though, and lacking certainly in infantry. But grenades getting ready, my goodness. Volkskrone is firing away with that dual BARs. Kampfkraft Center going up, and the base of the 91st Luftlande Division. One Volksgrenadier goes down. Not too fortunate, caught up in the barbed wire, screaming for help, but there's no medic for him. Not the nicest of fates. More riflemen moving in, airborne blasting away with the recoilless rifles. Another Volksgrenadier goes down. Half-track moves in, but at the same time, due to the recoilless rifles, it's not too keen on moving in too far, lest it gets blown to bits. Instead, it sort of provides covering fire for the Volksgrenadiers as they pull back in the face of fire and actual fire. But the other Volksgrenadiers are now moving in. BARs setting up in support again. More rifles moving in, and probably the MP40s as well very soon. Half-track continues to fire away, though taking a few shots. And from the south, a Sonderkraftfahrzeug 234 moving in, opening up with this 20mm auto cannon. Volksgrenadiers retreating, having taken a grenade. Sticky bomb goes off on the half-track. Airborne taking heavy fire. And I do believe inspired assault goes off, increasing the rate of fire and damage of the infantry, although it at the same time makes them easier to hit targets. Rather sort of experimenting with inspired assault to see what it can actually do. Also have plans to sort of see if that can actually make the LMG-42 more useful as well, since of course that means the LMG-42 will be firing fast and do a bit more damage, and sort of figure perhaps that will make it useful, although that's still a bit too circumstantial for my liking. But it could be interesting. Riflemen getting the devil out there, only airborne holding the line. Half-track getting repaired. Pioneers moving through in the south. From further, Volksgrenadiers currently reinforcing, and currently again I've only been using Volksgrenadiers as infantry. No grenadiers, no stormtroopers, no knights crossholders, no anything. Just Volksgrenadiers to basically hold the line. Rather interesting actually. And they certainly have been doing all too shabby. Although at the same time they haven't really been managing any huge kills, but again our opponent has been rather clever, although at the same time he could be doing with a bit more infantry, and he could be doing with a medic station. I certainly could be doing with a medic bunker, but sadly I've forgotten, and I do believe it's time for the mid-game analysis. Yes, indeed, this is going to be one of those shorter games, but still I thought it interesting, rather due to the sort of, well, a bit more dancing about, I suppose, in the sort of sense the, you know, not just throwing away troops, but rather sort of gauging the situation, then perhaps just getting out there and then preparing for an attack otherwise elsewhere. Although I do think he's still taking a bit too long in moving in and out. But currently the situation is he's still holding most of the territory. If you sort of notice, I have a small bulging out here in the sort of western area, but still he's holding most of it. In fact, he has a lot of areas he can actually strike from. But he's constantly shifting, although he does seem to be rather now focused more on the west. Perhaps rather figuring the center is so far off hands. He's also floating a bit of resources, although he has airborne, so he could possibly be going for something a bit more powerful soon. At the same time, though, I do have sort of the advantage in infantry. I've been suffering less, although some of my Volksgrenadiers have been suffering a bit, but still doing alright. I have some vehicles on the field with Veterancy 1, which decreases damage taken actually by 25%. So that, of course, is nice. The MG42 is in fact still there, and the center is remarkably untouched. So of course, if I can keep it up and perhaps also continue to press outwards here in the south and east, I might be able to win the game here. And let us return to the fight. Looks like the Americans are preparing for another assault. Lots of riflemen, airborne, engineers, whatever else. Recoilless rifles opening up on this Schwere Panzerspähwagen, which gets out of there. For what armored division or Panzergrenadier division, I don't know. Could be from the 17th SS, since infantry divisions actually weren't supposed to have heavy armored cars. Airborne right out in the open, running straight into the Volksgrenadiers with the MP40s. Grenades being flung. And looks like this Puma will not be making, oh dear, blown to bits. Half-track continues to far away, so do the Volksgrenadiers, but they will need to get out of there. Oh dear. One team of Volksgrenadiers are taking heavy losses. All these riflemen are in fact getting suppressed. Half-track gets out of there too late. Volksgrenadiers are running. Airborne gets suppressed. But a rear shot destroys the half-track, kills a pioneer, forcing the rest last to get out of there. Get out. No, dear, he was lost as well. Half-track drops in. Airborne flying in from above. That was quite some losses. A half-track, a heavy armored car, and a pioneer team.
A strategic sector.
But Pioneers are still dutifully carrying on in the south, and I still have all of my Volksgrenadiers rather amazingly. So currently the only thing actually holding the front is a Pioneer G-Man and MG42, rather ensconced in this position. And the Americans all running back now, apparently not really pushing forward and getting supply at upgrade number 2, but nothing else. Airborne Riflemen securing the northern bit. And moving through here as well, but now we are seeing a large force of Volksgrenadiers advancing as well. Mortars also getting ready. Lots of firepower from the 91st. With rather less quality troops so far. Still able to do quite a bit of damage if used correctly. And of course if they are used with support from other Volksgrenadiers, they're more support units, I suppose. And there we go, opening up on this rifleman. BARs and MP40s charging in. Airborne are retreating for some reason. Volksgrenadiers getting torn to riflemen getting torn to bits by the Volksgrenadiers, who are now advancing, securing. MG42 opens up as well, though it doesn't get any kills. And the Volksgrenadiers securing area there in the north, and the Americans pushing forwards in the south instead. Pioneers having taken the eastern victory point, but some engineers might soon spoil that. And a Pioneer team hit a mine right down there again. Although these mine sweepers have cleared out any other mines right down there in the south. Mortar team setting up there, ready to cover the central area. And the anti-tank gun is also setting up right there, ready to protect against any armored rushes from the Hun, the Kraut, the Jerry. And meanwhile, something is coming out from the Sturm Armory. And some Volksgrenadiers are advancing once more towards this western fuel point, while the others are covering the team securing this high munitions point. And looks like the mortar is opening up at something. And airborne are charging in. Oh dear. Firing up, in fact, opening up on the mortar team, blowing away bits off the cemetery, killing a mortar crewman. But the last two do make it out of there most enthusiastically. I wager perhaps a bit too enthusiastically. Who knows, but MG42 fires away at the exhausted airborne, but the airborne do manage to get away. But some other troops are moving in. And we are seeing a Stug 4 Sturmgeschütz 4, probably on lend from the 17th SS, lending some of its more armored assets. Of course, its only armored assets, in fact. It was supposed to have tanks, but it only got Stugs. It was supposed to have Panzerjäger 4, or Jagdpanzer 4s, but they only got Marder 3s. Though that was not entirely unusual for the Panzer Grenadier divisions of the Waffen SS. They rather had to make do with what they could get. And riflemen advancing through in the south. Stug opens up, comes under fire from the anti-tank gun. That's a bit unfortunate. Volksgrenadiers advancing in. Rifleman hits a mine. One goes down. Looks like it was the squad leader. Volksgrenadiers charging in. MP40s blazing. And looks like something's going on there in the north. Inspired assault goes off, but the Volksgrenadiers ain't got a few losses. More Volksgrenadiers moving in, lacing away at these airborne. And a firestorm goes in, knocking out the anti-tank gun crew, almost slaughtering the riflemen who were also near it. And oh dear, another hit right as they retreat. This cafe is on fire. Oh dear, I believe Rene will be very cross. But then again, I don't visit his cafe, so I'm pretty sure I can take that easy. Still, it is burning. The roof is in fact on fire. And the strategic point right here coming under control of the Wehrmacht. Volksgrenadiers, mortars getting reinforced. Still no grenadiers though. And a bit of veterancy for the armor on the way. I suspect yes indeed, armor veterancy 2. Going to get some light machine guns for that Stug 4. And we are seeing a tank depot going up, rather interestingly. And more mines going down, always with the mines. And the cafe is still burning. That's going to get expensive. Volksgrenadiers trying to wire off this bit of area. But they're going to be caught right out in the middle of the open. Oh dear, retreat. Volksgrenadiers retreat. Large force of American infantry moving in. Mortar moving in.
Okay, location is ours.
Tank depot not really in movement, doing anything. And the mortar opens up. Perhaps to cover this area, Stug moves in. Volksgrenadiers with all the automatic weapons they can master open up on the riflemen standing out in the middle of the open. Heavy losses for the Volksgrenadiers team with the MP40s, but the riflemen themselves are taking quite a beating. Stug opens up, blasts away, and looks like an American mortar has set up as well, using some of those drop-ins to get a bit of that. Stug though takes quite a bit of fire from the recoilless rifles. More Volksgrenadiers are moving in. Grenades being flung at the Volksgrenadiers, though killing none, and a mortar round goes in. Killing 3 airborne, causing the rest to run out of there. Like the sissy Yankees they are. Aha! And the American mortar gets ever a bit closer. Rather interesting, you actually rarely see Americans actually use those guns from the airdrops. They usually just use the resources, then you sort of end up with a sort of small armory being sort of assembled right in the middle of their base. Always found that a bit weird.
Wolf squad here.
Still nothing from the tank depot. Does he have the resources? Almost. He could be going for a tank. No. We'll have to see what will be happening there. Another heavy machine gun getting recruited. Well, at least not another one, but at least another heavy weapon for the Americans. First gun is advancing and spotting the mortar. Rather than deciding they want to knock it out. It looks like the Americans are once more changing their approach, moving in from the northwest. And it looks like the mortar is forced to retreat, but it manages a rather nice hit on those Volksgrenadiers, killing 1. Heavy machine gun setting up as well. Americans charging through, lots of airborne, lots of riflemen. A bit of veterancy on some. And they hit a mine. In fact, they hit... no. Oh dear, they're so close to that other mine. Will they set it off? Yes, there we go. Killing another one and suppressing a few more. Volksgrenadiers advancing to put a stop to this nonsense. And some grenadiers actually arriving on this map after almost 25 minutes. Grenadiers are in fact seen instead of just Volksgrenadiers. Stug 4 opening up. Airborne charging in right in the middle of the open. Taking quite a few losses. MG42 firing away as well. Grenadiers, Volksgrenadiers moving in. Grenades being flung. Killing a few Volksgrenadiers and a Grenadier, but they do not give up. Veterancy 2 on the airborne, making them even more accurate. Damn it. But the Stug 4 also advances. Fallschirmjäger, paratroopers, the Grenadiers exclaim. Or was it the Volksgrenadier sergeant? I don't know. Airborne running out of there. The Stug happily firing away. Enjoying the target practice. Jolly good show there. And looks like the Americans are once more quickly trying to shift the approach. And looks like something might be... yes, indeed, there is something on the way from the tank depot. Whatever shall it be? Tank destroyer or an actual tank? Because I really think that is what he needs. We'll of course have to see. Riflemen opening up on some Volksgrenadiers right there. Mortar bombarding these riflemen. Nebelwerfer howling away as well. Having a bit of fun. As Nebelwerfers are wont to do. Bombarding this area, ensuring no riflemen make it in there. And looks like the fire has finally gone out of the cafe. I'm sure the cafe owner will be pleased. Volksgrenadiers sneaking by. Looks like the Americans are looking to mount another assault. Numerous mortars, in fact. This could be interesting if they pull it off properly. Pioneers in the south. Volksgrenadiers in the west. In the north with some Grenadiers who are apparently getting an LMG-42. Yes, indeed, again, I was sort of trying to, again, give it another chance for some reason, and of course try to use it with Inspired Assault, but apparently the Americans of other plans are not wanting to attack there. Looks to be again a rather extensive engagement we're going to be seeing here. Lots of airborne, lots of riflemen, mortars, Numerous mortars, in fact, a tiny battery of light artillery setting up. And oh dear, he's sort of clumping it up on the assault. Instead of spraying out, perhaps moving in through the south as well. What shall I ever do? Call in another firestorm right down on the cafe again. And what is this? A crocodile Sherman. That's actually been interesting. American mortars bombarding my positions though, but the firestorm really gets a lot of the American infantry right away. Rifleman team, if not exterminated, is close to, and the churches, the cafe is once more on fire. Crocodile scorching away, forcing a lot of the infantry to get away, but the Stoop moves in, opening up on the crocodile, and the pack is finally given a task. Volksgrenadiers behind the wall, taking actual fire. The MG42 also getting on fire. Pack moves in. Crocodile under quite a bit of fire. Another grenadier team arriving. Battle phase just reached. And the crocodile is no more. And apparently the 4th Infantry Division as well, having taken quite some heavy losses in that rather fateful last assault, which again rather fell into the problem of sort of blobbing up his troops, which of course rather rendered him quite vulnerable to a single firestorm. I mean, it wasn't a bad idea. I mean, having numerous mortars to support it, they actually could have done a bit of damage, but then he sort of clumped it up instead of perhaps trying to attack from numerous angles. In fact, they could have probably taken out their Nebelwerfer. A bit unfortunate there. And perhaps an actual Sherman would also have been more to prefer. Still, not a bad idea. Again, I just felt he should have been spreading out his attack a bit more instead of sort of one very tiny axis, which made it very preferable for artillery to be used. But there you go, a 1 versus 1 on Semois. My apology for the shortness and abruptness, and it is another game with me. But again, I'll be a bit away for the weekend though, so of course I need to sort of build up a stock, and I didn't have any other games, so sort of went for one of my own I just had, which I thought was interesting. Had some ideas, of course, like mining, and of course the fact that you can actually use Volksgrenadiers pretty well without just sort of going nuts and throwing them away as though they were candy. Although you don't throw candy away. Still, I hope you get the metaphor, although it's a very confused one. Still, and I suppose I could make a sort of challenge to see if other people can make do with quite a few Volksgrenadiers and not really go with Grenadiers or Stormtroopers or Knights Cross holders. Still, nice burning crocodile right there. Otherwise, the Stug itself also did rather nicely sort of act as a nice deterrent. The half-track as well, although until it went up kaboom, didn't really pull it out there. But still also interesting to see was for a large part of the game, we didn't see some really heavy engagement with huge losses on either side. Was sort of quick there. Oh well, this isn't working, I'm getting out from either side. And of course that's also something to note. Again, sometimes you just need to know when to get the bloody hell out of there. When you can see this is not going to work out for me, then I need to get out of there. And that's something I really want some of you more new players to perhaps work with a bit more. It's probably going to help you a lot. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this match. If you did, why not subscribe or tell your friends? And if you didn't, well, why not send in a replay of your own? This is ImperialDane saying the Stug is awesome. Cheers.